Hey everybody! Time Traveler, I did make that screen in Photoshop. In fact, all the overlays and stuff I made in Photoshop. My cat is upset that I'm not paying attention to her. Come on up. Oh, am I kind of quiet? Yeah, I turned the music down so we could hear me talk. Hey RP Varela and hey Disparity, thank you for the sub for another month. I appreciate it. And hey Ipslore. So, hey Delta. So I have a new thing, maybe two new things to share. How's everybody else doing? So I saw that Rage 2 is out today. Is anyone getting it? I'm a little tired of the... Hey, thanks for the subscription. I'm a little tired of like the kind of Mad Max, like, as an inspiration for video games. It's just like it shows up a lot. As much as I love Mad Max, Oh, rainy season. Oh, double shift. Ugh. That sounds terrible. Alright, get rid of that. Alright, so here's the thing that I made yesterday. Kind of like in like a rush of inspiration. I don't really think it has any place in the game, so I'm gonna have to rework it before I kind of find a good spot for it. But I think it's a little too fast-paced. I'm gonna try like reducing the tempo. But yeah, I don't really know where this could be well used at all. I'm not really sure. It was just sort of like I sort of feverishly put it together in a few hours yesterday. Sometimes, you know, that feels really good, but also sometimes you lose sight of what it is you're working on. It sounds cool. I just don't know if it fits anywhere. Almost everything in this is a custom-made instrument, which is really fun to do, too. Yeah, it could be Time Traveler. That's a good point. I did kind of think of that near the end of it, where I was like, you know what? Maybe this will be a jukebox piece. I don't know. I'm gonna try messing around with it. Maybe we'll do some of that today and see if it can't be used for some other part of the game. Anyway, let's go. Yeah, so that's really all it is so far. It was so fun to put this together. Like, every piece is custom made, which I was really happy with. Well, I guess except for the percussion, which is the telephone drum kit that I've been using. A little bit loud, huh? Okay. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'll figure it out, or yeah, I may change it completely before then. Skydrojumi asks, sorry if I got your name wrong, can you use Cubase with just a computer keyboard and mouse? Yes. It does allow that. However, I still recommend getting a little keyboard if you can, like a little musical MIDI keyboard. There are very cheap USB ones out there. So if you can get one, it's worth it. It'll make it a lot easier to input notes, but you still can do it without. Like, I know there are people who do it, and they get along just fine without it. I just find it easier to be like, what's the note I want? And I can mess around on the keyboard and find it, and then go from there. Yeah, this track is very, like, very me sounding. Sounds very like other work of mine, like especially like Cypher. I was inspired by Sasha. I had the sort of revelation like a week ago that Sasha is like a very good inspiration for this soundtrack, because he basically so the original Subnautica soundtrack has a lot of like kind of 90s-esque elements to it, like 90s electronica. And I don't know if that's deliberate or if that's just sort of the original artist's like style. I don't know, but it is kind of like a bit 90s sounding, and Sasha is an artist who like took that, I feel like took that sound of like 90s electronica and has continued to like evolve it in his own sort of direction. And it's really good, and he writes this really cool sort of like chill ambient stuff. And if you haven't listened to Scene Delete, I think that's what it's called. No, crap, I don't remember. I think it's Scene Delete. Sasha Scene Delete. Yeah, Scene Delete. It's really good. And I listened to it for years now. And anyway, and I realized like, wow, I should really be like paying attention to this, because I think he's like the Scene Delete album could be background music for Subnautica. It's like it fits so well. Oh yeah, I can post a link. Let's see here. Let me find a Spotify link. I think that'll do it. Anyway, so alright, so this was the original like thing that I made that started the whole album right here. And then I think I add a seventh here. Yeah. So that was like the first pulse thing I made in Signal. And then I started making other rhythmic parts to go with it, like this one. And then in Omnisphere I built some things. This weird one. Let me load it up here. So this was fun. It's this vocal sample where I have it a random number decides where it starts in the sample. So every time it's played, it plays a different sample. And then we also have a choir, although I don't... Is it still in there? Yeah, it's just not very loud. And then some effects and stuff. And then an arpeggio that I made on it. And so that was really fun to make. And it sounds really weird. I don't know if I'll keep it again. Time Traveler asked, how often do you use pulses and arpeggiated synths? For this soundtrack, a lot. It's like a core component of this particular soundtrack. So I use it all over this soundtrack. In previous soundtracks, not as much. Like Dark Side Detective, very few. There were quite a few in Into the Breach, but it wasn't to the extent of like this one. And then what's this one? Yeah, this is pretty cool. It was some kind of like sample of this Oracle thing, which was like some kind of chords, like some kind of electric piano chords or something. This is actually technically a preset, but I altered it so much. The samples are all different, and the way they're processed is so different that it doesn't even resemble the original thing anymore, which is fun. So yeah, you put all those together and you have this kind of neat, interesting rhythm part. And then the percussion's also super simple. It's just this. And then this. There are enough rhythmic parts elsewhere that the percussion doesn't need to do much. And then this is like the bell droplets. You've heard this all throughout the Below Zero soundtrack. Hey, Recursion! Welcome! And then this is a pad. Really glad you could make it, Recursion. You're the first moderator to come back in like months. Oh, nice. Congratulations. Oh yeah, you know, it does kind of sound Ace of Base-like, Revital, you're right. I guess with everything else it doesn't sound as much like it, but... Is this a track for lily pads? No. I'm not quite sure what will be for lily pads yet. I have an idea of what I want for the lily pads. I have a track that I think fits, but I haven't really like discussed it much with the rest of the team yet, so haven't decided. So yeah, and then there's this other thing that I think is custom as well. Actually, no, it's not custom, but it's just like a pluck sound that I added an arpeggio to. And then the bass line, which I spent way too much time on, but it sounds really cool. Yeah, it's really fun. Okay, so you pair that with the percussion. Sounds great. That's too loud, huh? And then you add other stuff. I'm gonna do a little fun thing where I keep adding layers for each. We'll keep adding instruments every loop, so you can kind of hear how all the pieces fit together better. Oops. I already messed that up. Forgot to turn on the loop. Playing around with layers can help you like figure out a good arrangement for your piece. What biome will this track be in? Don't know, because I kind of just sort of threw it together really fast yesterday and didn't really have an idea of where it's gonna go, and I don't think it's really good for like a biome exploration. It's too fast. Like, cause just imagine you're like collecting copper or whatever underwater, and this is playing, it would be too much. So yeah, let's try changing the tempo around. Let's go down to like I don't know, 84 from 94. What instrument did you adapt for the bass line? I believe it's just like a sine wave. Copper mining battle music. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just a couple of sine waves. Okay. Alright, now we're gonna listen to it at a slower tempo, see if that feels more chill and better for exploration. Oh, it's so hard to start though, right? You're like, oh, why is it so slow? Just gotta get used to it. Yeah, this is better for like exploring for sure, and it kind of fits with the general Subnautica vibe from the first game. Yeah, interesting. So that does kind of fit a little better. I'm going to actually slow it down even more. Here, we're going to go down to 80. Let's go down to 78. We'll start here. Feels too slow. Go up to 80. Yeah, I think that, man, we just like hit a sweet spot there, huh? With 84. Shifting down the tempo possibly affect the length of the intro. Yes. If I shift the tempo and choose to change, like, keep that, I'm gonna probably rearrange the whole thing to match that. Because that makes this intro way too long, so I'd have to cut it down. Excuse me. Hello, Jeremy. That kind of works. I will miss the original tempo, I guess. But thanks. I'm really glad you like the glad you like the bass. I put a lot of effort into it, so I tend to get kind of, I miss putting more work into bass lines because I used to do it a lot more, and then I just kind of got into this pattern for, I guess it's because the games I worked on maybe kind of demanded it, but it was like very simple bass lines in a lot of the games. But like FTL had all sorts of really cool like funky bass lines, and I kind of want to get back into that kind of thing. Hi, C Kibble. C Kibble asks, I was wondering when do you involve the rest of the game's team to get feedback and ensure they're happy with your work? Well, pretty much every week I share what I've been working on for the week. Like, it's usually like on Friday I'll upload stuff and ask for feedback. And we have a team Slack channel. And that's how we share stuff. And so I just sort of post it for the team, and they give feedback on whether or not they think it fits for the area I was thinking it was for, or I'll just post something and be like, I'm not really sure where this is supposed to go, so... and they can give feedback on that, too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Working on... I'm working on a document to sort of organize everything that I've been working on. Danny Walkman asks, why do you think you're attracted to this 90s style sound? Probably because that's what the era that I grew up in, I guess. It's not a conscious thing. I actually kind of hope to break away from that soon. I'm hoping that after this soundtrack, I'm gonna try to really like expand my style and sort of change it up in the simplest terms. I want to expand my musical ability. I'm not really sure exactly how that's gonna happen, but I'm working on it. So that's one piece I'm working on. I have another piece that I'm not. It's really. Do you remember the Vector Man soundtrack from 1995? I remember Vector Man, but I didn't really play it myself. Now I kind of want to check out that music. All right, I'm gonna show the other piece that this was. I don't even remember if I'm gonna. I don't even know if I'm gonna like this piece. It's more of an ambient, creepy thing. But let's share it anyway. There's really not much to it, and it's more of an experiment than anything. But yeah, this is supposed to be creepy. It's inspired by a particular part in the game that I can't talk about because it's a big spoiler. It's a creepy thing. But you already knew that there was going to be creepy stuff in the game, so that particular part's not a spoiler. But yeah, this was really just an experiment. I didn't really finish this like really liking it that much, but let's share it anyway. You guys can hear it. I know it's really quiet. I'm gonna start over here with the compressor on. There we go. Yeah, Waterphone would be something I would definitely add to this. I just didn't get to it and in time. This was actually I'm quite pleased with it so far. Now listening to it again today. Thanks. Let's start over so you can hear it a little better now that I turned it up a bit. So yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm liking it now more. The most interesting thing is definitely this flute thing. This is a bunch of flute samples that are randomly selected and then have a bunch of different harmonies of the same sample playing at once. And then I just use the pitch wheel to like slowly change the pitch as it's like going through these different flute samples. And it makes for a very weird, creepy effect. And then of course it has the big Valhalla room reverb on it. So it sounds a little different every time because it's randomly selecting things. Selecting parts of the sample. It's just so fun. So yeah, that's the kind of fun you can have with samples. Yeah, so this, I'll probably add some waterphone stuff to it. And I'm not sure what else. I don't really know. The recorded automation there that you can see is the pitch wheel, me changing the pitch on it, and I recorded that in real time. And you can see the pitch going up here and the pitch going down here. It's very cool. This thing is just a little, like, sample of some kind of glass thing. I forget. I don't know if I'll keep this. Oh, it's a Tibetan bowl. Some kind of glass bowl thing. Probably with randomization. Oh, yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff. I turned off another part of it, too. But, yeah, I don't know if I'll keep that part. Really the best things are this flute thing and then this pad. One of the a fun way to like find cool creepy pads is to just load up pad presets and then play them at a way lower register than they're meant to be played, and you can find a lot of cool stuff that way. Like, this is what this thing's supposed to sound like, which is still really creepy, but I'm playing it at... Here, hang on. What am I doing? Why am I not showing the keycam? So yeah, playing it very high up on the scale, you get that, but if you play it down at the bottom, just get like, that's really low. Maybe that's too low. Oops. I must have played it at a higher register. But anyway, yeah, you get it. You get the idea. To be honest, I want to be creeped out when I'm playing the game as much as possible. Me too. I really want to lean into that for this, so I'm going to be writing a lot more of these creepier pieces. Hopefully there will be enough areas to cover it. Even if there aren't, we'll just have a lot of pieces to reuse or use in multiple areas. Can you be creeped out by your own songs? I guess not. I can get an enjoyment out of them if I pull off the creepiness in like a way that I'm happy with. but I'm not really sure if I've ever creeped myself out from with one of my songs. Maybe while I was making it and I discover a sound that's really weird and creepy. So yeah, that's the other piece that I've got here, and this is obviously really early. It's not very polished. Hopefully, I'll bring it together and make it interesting. What else do we have? There's this one which is basically done, which you've heard in last week, but we'll load it up now that it's totally finished. You can hear the final version. I had it playing in the beginning when I first started the show, but a lot of people weren't there yet, so let's play the whole thing. Yeah, Omnisphere is really expensive, and that's why it took me so long to actually get it. However, it has been totally worth it for me to get Omnisphere. It is freaking amazing. Cubase is currently 50% off. I did see that. And I'm probably going to get the update. So I have Cubase, whatever the new one is, 10. Because I'm working on 7.5, which is kind of out of date now. And there's a lot of new features. I have to admit, Recursion, I don't actually know what trap music is. But yeah, Omnisphere is really good because it can do a lot of things, a lot of different things that that other tools do, but it's all like sort of consolidated into one tool, and it's also very easy to use. Like, it's very easy to figure out how all the different parts work together, and you can actually learn a lot about synthesis and LFOs and samples and yeah, I love it. I use it all the time now because it's just so easy to put together something really fast. So this one's finished, and it was originally going to be for the Tree Spires area, but it turned out that the Tree Spires area is different than what I thought it was, so we're going to use this for something else. Sometimes communication breaks down in a team, and this is one of those times. Yeah, this was in the last stream. And it's done now. So yeah, that was originally supposed to be for Tree Spires. Apparently Tree Spires is going to be a lot more epic than I thought it was going to be, so this doesn't quite fit with the vibe that the rest of the team wants to go with the Tree Spires area. So... gonna be used somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe lily pads? Kind of seems to fit there. But yeah, I just gotta play more and talk to the team more and figure it out. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, this one came together really well and relatively quickly. I started and finished it in like the span of a week, which is nice. But I also kept it simple. I didn't try to like get too ambitious with the sound. Yeah, Paper Star. I'm professional in that I do this full time. I guess I should probably say who I am, huh? So, in case you don't know, I'm Ben. You might know me from the Music to FTL or Darkside Detective or Into the Breach. And I'm currently working on Subnautica Below Zero. You can see right underneath me there. And I did not work on the original Subnautica. I'm just working on this standalone DLC follow-up sequel thing. And in the spirit of Subnautica's open development, I'm sharing the music that I make every week. Yeah, welcome, Paper Star. I'm probably going to add some kind of scrolling marquee that will have more info that shows up. Because I often forget to like say what it is I'm working on or who I am. I just sort of dive in. Also, there's a Discord link down on the page. And you can join the official Discord for this channel and talk to other people about music making and stuff. And I'm in there too, and I say hello a lot. So yeah, so Below Zero is sort of somewhere between like a sequel and DLC. So it's like a new scenario that's very similar to the original Subnautica, but it's like a new character that you play as, and in a new region, but it feels very similar to the original. But the team isn't really calling it the sequel. They're not. So they've been using standalone DLC to describe it, but I don't really know. I think it's like pretty close to being a sequel, but so if you all like, I can go over the pieces of this track. I can answer questions, or we can go back to that first track we were working on, and I can keep going with that one. And you know what? Let's do that, because that one actually has work to be done on it, and this one doesn't. So is anyone getting Rage 2 today, since it's out? Have you worked on the main menu track? No, I haven't actually worked on that. For the other Icy expansion pack. Yeah, that looks really cool. The Iceborne or whatever looks awesome. Yeah, I'm hearing some people say they love Rage 2 so far, like already, and other people say that they found it really boring. So I'm not really sure. I love first person shooters. It's very easy for me to enjoy them. But yeah, who knows? I will probably, if I played it, I would probably have a good time, but I never really did finish the first Rage, so of course now it's a lot of different developers, I imagine. Is that messed up? we get a good question from Paper Star. Sorry that Moobot muted you for that question. That's a totally normal question. But anyway, maybe it didn't like the parentheses and like next to a colon or something and thought it was a link. I don't know. Anyway, the question is, I want to be in the position you're in, making music for games and maybe TV, film, and streaming it all online. What are some good first steps to take? The first steps you should take are learning music theory, learning an instrument, and learning some kind of digital audio workstation. Those are the three things you got to start with. Because you can't do any of it without being able to make music. So that you might as well start there. If nothing else, certainly learn a little bit about piano, because piano input is the primary way that you interact with digital audio. Some kind of like MIDI keyboard. RP Varela says, what do you think of the whole Epic Store versus Steam controversy that has been going on lately? Well, what is specifically the controversy? That they are paying to have exclusivity on their platform? Which is something that Nintendo and Sony and such already do for their platforms. So, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's really all that big of a deal to me. There was a time when people were very upset that any game was on Steam at all. So it's kind of funny to see, not even like a decade later, people being upset that a game is not on Steam. Yeah, you don't have to buy an entire console. I think that we should be focusing on other controversies, like the fact that these people making the games will get laid off as soon as a game comes out, even if the game is successful. That's bad. That's a real controversy that we should be upset about, not about different platforms competing with each other. I do like that Epic takes a smaller cut than Steam. I think that's really good. And it was pretty much inevitable because Steam takes such a gigantic cut of everything. Oh, and Curio asks, what instruments aside from piano did you learn? So I learned a little bit of banjo and guitar. Guitar's the thing that I'm probably best at, although I'm still not very good at it. I'll have the music playing in the background on loop while we talk here. I'll turn it down a bit. So, yeah, so when learning new instruments, piano and guitar are great because they can cover a lot of different genres. And there are a lot of resources out there for them. So like you can go online and find a bajillion videos on how to play guitar or piano. And other instruments, there aren't as many. There are some, but it's not as great. I don't know why this thing is broken, but I'm just gonna mute it for now. So yeah, I really can't get bent out of shape about the, I'm gonna keep swapping topics here, but yeah, I can't really get bent out of shape by, like, games being exclusive to a particular platform, because other companies do that already. Like, EA has their own store, and, like, Blizzard has, you can't get Blizzard games on Steam. So, it's like, I don't know, why is it now suddenly a problem? So, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so we've got a few more questions here. Man, I wish I want to go to your school. My school started offering full lessons for the Push 2, comparable to like piano lessons or guitar lessons. That sounds great. The other question here from Paper Stars, how about getting my music to game makers? The best thing you can do is go to game events. Go to like the Game Developers Conference, Indiecade, Fantastic Arcade. Any place that you know where game devs congregate, that's a place to go to meet devs. So here's one of the truths about game industry and every industry. Developers are a million times more likely to hire somebody they know or is friends with someone they know than they are to just hire some random person on the internet. That basically never happens. So the best way you can get your music to developers and have developers pay attention to you is to start becoming a member of that community. That's sort of what I did, and it worked out pretty well, although I got really lucky. Yeah, like I said, of all industries, not just game development. So you can't rely on like hoping that like you'll just get discovered somehow. That's just never going to happen. You just have to assume that will never happen. So okay, we got some more questions here. How are game devs paid? Do you get paid even after the game has been released for months because it's so popular? So generally, platforms will pay out royalties once a month. And it'll be for the previous month's royalties. Crit Distance Gaming asks, what headphones and speakers do you use and why? These are... I don't remember what these are. These are AKG 240s? K240s. Yeah. These are super cheap. They're like $50. Cheap by studio standards, and they sound great, so I use them a lot, and they're open back, so I can hear myself talk while I'm using them. The speakers I use, which you can't see, are Yamaha HS7s, and I got them just because they reviewed well. Lots of people liked them and used them, and I listened to them in the store, and I liked them, so I bought them. That's why. How has Unknown Worlds been treating you lately? Great, I guess. one asks, so you are licensing your music to the game studio, not just selling it to them. That is correct. It's a license. Crit Distance Gaming asks, what do you think of KRK RP5s? I have no opinion on them because I don't even know what they are. Cyrus Post asks, what do you think is a normal rate for a 3-minute song if I'm just starting to take commissions from people? That is a tough question. So the answer I always give people is ask for whatever you think you can get away with. Go as high as you could possibly go before you think that the number will absolutely scare them away. So a standard rate that has been thrown around in the industry mostly started, I think, by Aaron Marks with his book, The Complete Guide to Game Audio, which you should buy if you haven't yet and you're interested in getting into game music. It's called The Complete Guide to Game Audio. It's by Aaron Marks. Get it. Read the whole thing. Anyway, the rate that he mentions is $1,000 US dollars per finished minute of music. So start from there and go down from that. Like, since you're just starting out and it'd be very hard to convince people that you can make good music and that you can finish a whole soundtrack and that you're fun to work with and everything. I start, like, if you think they have money. So that's the other thing, like, if you're working with a lot of small indies, any small indies, like, small indie studios, they don't have any money. They don't really have a budget. So it's kind of hard to ask for money when that happens. So you have to find people that, like, you can collaborate with, that you're like, let's both start this project where neither of us are making money, and we're taking a risk on this thing, you know, like, we're putting our time and effort into this thing, and hopefully when it releases it will make us some money or whatever. Then you can, like, kind of share in the success of it. So you have to make sure, like, you're both getting a percentage somehow. If they have a budget and they have money to spend, then, I don't know, I would say don't ask for anything lower than, like, $500 per track. This is assuming if you feel like you have quality music that, like, is of professional grade. So yeah, I would say start at that number. 500 US dollars per track, not per minute. Start there, work your way up, or ask for more than that and see what they do. Hopefully that can, like, convince them. But really, you should read that book first before you do anything. RP Varela asks, so say they plan to re-release a Below Zero some 20 years from now. They'd have to renew their license or hire a different composer, correct? Yeah, probably. Not really something we discussed in the contract, so I'm not really sure, but yeah, probably they would have to come back to me and maybe re-license it for the game. I'm not really sure. You could maybe make an argument that it's, like, already covered in the contract as, like, more content for the same game. I don't know. I guess they would have to do a different contract because it would be a new game with a new name. Like, it would be Below Zero, like, remastered or whatever. And yeah, in that case they would have to re-license it from me. Crit Distance asks, Can I email you a track I've been working on for advice on development? I feel like I need some kind of movement, looking for genuine feedback from somewhere I admire. So, sorry, I can't do that. I used to do that. I used to say, please send me your stuff and I'll give you feedback. And then I just got inundated with requests for feedback and it was just too much. I couldn't handle it anymore. So, I don't accept music for feedback anymore. However, there's a Discord server and there are a lot of other musicians in it. And they're awesome, and some of them are very experienced, and you should join the Discord and go on there. There's even a specific channel for sharing your stuff, and if I have time, I will go in there and check out the stuff in the Work in Progress channel. So yeah, you should do that. And Curio asks, is your PC custom built? Yes. And if yes, towards which components did you pay special attention? RAM, I guess? Memory? Kind of need to have a lot of memory, and a CPU. Otherwise, I didn't really worry about it. The Discord link is below, so just scroll down from the video and it's on my Twitch page. Binary asks, is a sound card in your PC necessary for music production? Technically no, but you should get one anyway. You can get them for $100, and it's worth it. There's always some latency with USB, but it's so small that if you have a good card, if you have a good audio interface, USB audio interface, you're not gonna have to worry about latency. Yeah, if you have good drivers, you'll have, like, I don't know, really low latency, like 10 milliseconds or something. So it's really small. You don't have to worry about it. When you have latency, the latency issues come up if you don't have an audio interface. Then it gets kind of hard. You'll have more problems with that. Oh man, yeah, I didn't know about that. The Crazy Taxi also had to get changed, because I remember those tracks. That's how I discovered Bad Religion, and have listened to it ever since. And I didn't know about Rock and Roll Racing, but that makes sense. That's like what happened with the... what's the name of the game? Alan Wake. They had to remove it from Steam because the music license ran out. And yeah. Oh yeah, see, somebody just posted that. So what is an audio... Oh, here we go. Here's a good question. What is an audio interface used for besides a performance boost? Well, you can hook up... instruments to it or microphones. So if you have an electric guitar or something, or a bass, you can hook it up directly. You can plug in a microphone and record that. You can output to speakers and to like headphones simultaneously. It has multiple uses. And Curio, PCIe is something you can do, but I don't know. I don't know many musicians who even bother. USB is like plenty for pretty much everything you need to do. I don't think you need to bother with a PCIe audio interface. It's just not really necessary. USB is just so fast these days that it doesn't really matter. I have not played Cuphead. I know of it though. I know what it's like, and Oh dang, Linux. I want to say that you should maybe get a different operating system if you want to do music. I think that you're just going to continually run into roadblocks if you keep using Linux. But if you really want to go for it, and you love Linux, you should just stick with it. Yeah, I feel like making music, digital music, in a Linux system is just adding headaches and problems that you don't need. Like imagine, like, whenever you drive your car, you refuse to drive on any of the roads, and you just drive around on, like, on unpaved, like, yards and fields and stuff. It's like, you can do it, but you're just making it a lot more difficult for yourself. That was not a great metaphor, but, well, I tried. Linux is like having to build a road before you drive on it. Yeah, there you go. That's a way better metaphor. You said that so much quicker. Like driving everywhere in reverse. Oh man, you're all so much better at this than I am. Cyrus Post asks, I'm sure this is going to be in that book, but how do you look at song structure for a game? If I do a 3-minute track, it often feels like I'm rehashing things I've already written, and I feel like I'm ripping people off. Yeah, that's something you have to like learn over time. It's a big problem, like writing enough content that's like interesting. Here, let me turn the music back up here. So, this particular track uses like looping and layering to give it a lot of life. So it's 2 minutes 10 seconds, or it's like 2 minutes 15 seconds long, and a lot of this is just like 4 different things, but they're layered on top of each other, and they just keep adding bits to it, and that gives it some life. A couple of things you can do to like help extend the life is like write multiple chord progressions and then swap them out as you go, and then like use different instruments each time. So like this has sort of 3 chord progressions, so to speak. Okay, see you later, RP Varela. Thank you for joining. So like the first chord progression isn't really a progression, it's just 1 chord, which I think is an F minor. Yeah, F minor. And so it just goes through that one chord this whole time, right? Everything here. And then this part is another chord progression, a different one, that starts with F minor and then changes a little bit. And then I have a third one that I haven't developed yet, and I don't even know if I'll keep it in this, but here's another one. So that, like, so you can repeat that chord progression and then write other melodies on it, and like take the instruments that played earlier and then they play new parts over this new chord progression. So maybe if you're having trouble keeping the length of a song past like a minute or so, because that's like, that is a problem that I've known. Every musician I've ever known has had that same like issue, that it's like really hard to like write stuff and then have it extend out to like 3 minutes or more. I have the same problem. The best thing you can do is like write a few different chord progressions for one piece. Like stay in the same key, come up with a few progressions, and then build out the song from there. And that sort of lets you have more content than you otherwise would have had, I guess. Oh, awesome. I'm glad you like the Bitcoin soundtrack. I do talk about it, at least on Twitter, a lot. I guess I don't really talk about it here on the stream, but I'm glad you liked it. That was a weird project. I don't think I'll work in movies ever again. Don't really... Film's just not my thing, I guess. Linux Windows relationship. I used to use Linux at one of my old jobs. And the people I worked with had almost convinced me to switch to Linux entirely for my music production. And boy, am I glad I didn't. Oh, here's a neat question. Do you notice noises or sounds in real life that you'd want to compose with? Yeah, sometimes I'll hear something, usually like industrial stuff, where I'm like, oh, that would be really cool, like an interesting sound. It's usually more like sound design inspiration than like music. I'm like, oh, this would make a really cool sound. I wish I could record it or whatever and use it for sound effects, but I don't really, I don't do sound design, so... Yes, that comment about garden shears is absolutely true. I did do that at my old job. It was great. I'm gonna take all of this. This is, I don't know what all this is. Move this aside. I'm gonna take everything. Move it over here. And I'm gonna start adding layers differently. Or maybe even doing like different chords. Oh, I should turn on my other camera. I keep forgetting that I have this. Here we go. this with like the 11th, the 9th. This is the original. Boy, that sounds real bad. Just go away. Curio has a question. Okay, yeah, so Cyrus answered it pretty well. Yeah, it's quantization is the way to get notes to fit onto the grid. When I'm playing like this, it's not fitting. It's just me playing freeform. But I will often use quantization after I record something because my timing's really bad. So yeah. Balloon33 asks, how did you manage to get over 1 million streams on 2 of your singles on Spotify? Also, what games do you make, and is it your job? So I don't make games. I make music for games. I made the music for a game called FTL, and FTL it kind of exploded and was a huge hit, and that's why I have over 1 million streams on 2 of my singles. Yes, it is my full-time job. I do this. This is my whole career. I write music for video games. Oops. Loading screen. Hey, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I'm trying to like evoke your first game while still being, you know, my kind of thing. Any chance a couple of sounds you're using from the first game to tie it in? Well, I don't have access to the project files or anything. So probably not. There'll be similar sounds, like I'm using a lot of thumb harp. Because thumb harp shows up in the original soundtrack a few times. So that will be kind of similar. But no, I'm not going to be taking songs directly from the original. Yes, my chair is from IKEA. I love it, but I feel like I should probably get a proper like desk chair at some point. It's probably better for my back. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to come up with other chord progressions for these same instruments that I made and see if I can come up with something that I think feels better. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, loading screen. I definitely was like put a lot of effort into thinking about like what made the original like iconic, what people like about it, what makes it stand out and make it different from other soundtracks and everything, and like what elements can I recreate fairly easily, and what things do I want to add and change and make it feel different. And to be clear, I did not work on the original Subnautica. I had no involvement in that game. I was joined the team for this particular thing, Below Zero. Yeah. Recursion's talking about that iterative quantize, and that is really good. It can be a very useful feature to use. Yeah, not a lot of younger people use Cubase. I think it's kind of like an old man's digital audio workstation. Uh, I think that's why you don't see a lot of streamers with using Cubase. It's like the hip new stuff to use is like Logic and Ableton. I think those are what and maybe like FL Studio. But Cubase is like one of the oldest digital audio workstations. In fact, it's now 30 years old, and not used by a lot of younger people. Cyrus asks, have you always used Cubase or have you tried a bunch of workstations? I worked in Reason since I was a kid. Instead of buying the newest one, I'm thinking of trying something different. So let me think. I've used Cubase and I've used Sonic Foundry's Acid. That's what I used before Cubase. I don't recommend it. And I've used Ableton and a little bit of Pro Tools. And I messed around in GarageBand like once. I use Ableton for live stuff, and I love it. It's great. It is a fantastic workstation. And I use Cubase for all of my game soundtracks and albums and stuff. I use it mostly because it's what I've been using forever, and I'm very good at using it. Time Traveler asks, if Unknown Worlds offered you a permanent spot on the team, just as an example, permanently, would you take it or keep floating from project to project? I would certainly consider it, but mostly I like working for myself. I don't really like being someone's employee. Loading Screen asks, I know you wouldn't be able to share details, but do you have like a list of environments or story beats from the devs that you are directly composing for at the moment, or is it more experimental? It is both that I have details on the game and where it's going, and like I have like story info and concept art, and there's like this big chart of like the entire flow of the game from start to finish, which is really cool. And also I do a lot of just like experimental composing and then to kind of decide where it might fit. And Curio asks an interesting question. Whenever you release a new album, often there will be no cover for it on Last.fm. I usually grab it from Bandcamp and upload it. Is this something you might have an issue with from a copyright-ish standpoint? Honestly, I don't really know anything about Last.fm. I don't understand what it is. It's just totally off my radar. It's not like a music streaming service, right? Or maybe it is now? I don't know. Yeah, I just don't really understand Last.fm, so maybe I'm outing myself as an old man using Cubase and not understanding Last.fm, but Mr. Breeze asked, have you ever worked with organ in any of your tracks? Yeah, if you go listen to either in Chromatic T-Rex or Electrocrypt, there's some organ in both of those. Subglitch asks, have you watched Clone Wars, the 3D cartoon series? I've seen a few episodes of it. I wasn't too into the music. Honestly, I'm a much bigger fan of the 2D hand-drawn Clone Wars movie series thing than the 3D one, but that's just me. No, mostly just tracks the songs he listens to and amasses that music, kind of like a taste tracker. Okay, so it's more like a database than like a music service, sounds like. Yeah, I don't really, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's okay that you're uploading the album art. I guess maybe it's something I should be doing. Well, it's about time to wrap it up, so if anyone has any questions, now's the time. Let me see if I can find someone to... Do I have any people on my list that we can do a raid for? I need to really build out my, like, list of people here. Hey, loading screen, thank you for the bits. Thanks a lot. Oh, thank you, Das Beverage, for the bit. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, and thank you for the subscription, TL. You're all so great. Time Traveler asks, what was the album cover for Photographs? Was it you? Well, I didn't make the album cover. That was the artist from the game made that. But it is a picture of me, yes. It's an illustration of me. Hey, thank you for the subscription, Das Beverage. I really appreciate everyone's support. Everything you do, like subscriptions, buying albums, just showing up and asking questions, all this is great and supports me in some way. And so I appreciate it. When you ask questions, you add value to the whole stream, you know, you're like, everyone gets the answer, which is really cool. Hey, thank you for the subscription. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm looking for the little window for like doing a raid on someone else's channel, but I don't remember where it is now. Echo. Thank you for the bits, Das Beverage. Alright, I guess we're not raiding anyone right now. But anyway, let's play this out one more time, and I will see you all later. Thank you. I will be back tomorrow. And I'll share more music, and maybe we'll do some composing, and it'll be lots of fun. So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.